Pull up a chair, folks. Tonight we're riding out to Spicewood, Texas, November of 1982, where two giants, Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard, cut a ballad so strong it roped the whole country by summer. I'm talking about Pancho and Lefty, a song born in Townes Van Zandt's lonely rooms and carried to #1 by Willie and Merle on July 23, 1983. Now, before we climb the hill to Pedernales, let's tip our hat to the writer. Townes had put Pancho and Lefty on his 1972 record, the late great Townes Van Zandt. He used to chuckle when folks asked what it meant. He'd say it kind of came through him like a breeze under a door, but you can hear the bones. A Mexican bandit called Pancho, a friend named Lefty who lives to regret. That's Townes all over. Clean lines, a hard light, and a story that haunts without explaining itself. All right, Spicewood. Willie's studio sits out there in the live oaks, coffee on the burner, band standing by. Willie and Merle were near the end of their duet sessions. Good record in the can, but missing that one anchor. Somewhere around midnight, Willie's daughter Lana walks in with a record and a hunch. "Daddy, you need to hear this." The needle drops on Pancho and Lefty, that loping melody, that dust haze rhythm. And suddenly everybody's awake like daylight hit the window. They decide to cut it right then. Willie's crew grabs their spots, the tape rolls, and there's just one problem. Merle's already turned in for the night. Depending on who's telling it, Willie pads out to the bus or the room and knocks him up at some wild hour, 4, 5 in the morning. Merle steps in, still half in a dream, and lays down the part that made him Lefty for a whole generation. Next day he thinks, "Let me do that again." And Willie says, "Hoss, it's already on a plane." You can hear that immediacy on the master. No varnish, just two old pros moving air like it's the most natural thing. Hear how they split it? Willie takes Pancho's life with that soft, sly tenor, sun on the brim, gun on the hip. And then Merle slides in as Lefty, worn thin and looking back over his shoulder. They only come together right at the end, and that's perfect. You don't hear those men in harmony until the deed is done and the story's told. Now here's where it gets fun. Country videos were new as a newborn calf, but Lana pushes for one. They build this dusty little western on film with Willie as Pancho, Merle as Lefty, and Townes himself riding shotgun in a Pedernales sash, grinning beneath a mustache and taking a day rate that probably went straight back into the troubadour life. That clip did more than put faces on the names. It set the song like a tintype. Pancho and sepia, Lefty and regret, Pedernales all around. Release day sneaks up early the next year, January 1983 for the album, title and all, and the single climbs steadier than ivy. By July 23, 1983, it's sitting on top of the Billboard country chart, biggest thing Willie and Merle did together, and a lifeline of mailbox money for Townes. If you were listening that summer, you remember the first bars, that unmistakable early 80s shimmer, then the guitars, and then Willie, leaning in like a man unspooling a campfire tale. Let's rewind just once more to the writer's side. Townes had friends who swore he wrote it in a Dallas motel. Others place it somewhere else on the road. He never planted a flag. He'd shrug and say, "It came out of the blue." Ask him if Pancho was Pancho Villa, and he'd grin that sideways grin. In his song, Pancho gets hung and Villa was shot, so take from that what you will. Truth is, Townes had a way of writing maps you could travel without ever reaching the edge. What changed on that night in Spicewood wasn't the song's meaning, it was its reach. Willie and Merle pulled it out of the corner booth and put it on the main stage. Radio got a story song with hooks. TV got a little movie. Fans got a duet that felt like two sides of one conscience. And Townes got paid and heard. That matters. In the life of a working songwriter, a #1 is groceries, gas, and time to write the next one. I love one tiny craft choice. The way Willie's phrasing leaves air after "out of kindness, I suppose." He lets the line hang like a dust mote, then the band shifts under it. That patience, that's how you tell a story. And Merle, on that last verse, doesn't push. He just lets Lefty be old and chilly, like a hotel radiator that never quite warms up. That restraint is brutal in the best way. Some folks will argue about who spotted the song, what hour Merle was rousted, exactly which pressing spelled Pancho and which spelled Pancho. That's barroom sport and perfectly fine. The bedrock is simple. A Texas poet wrote a killer ballad in '72. A decade later, two country titans heard the truth in it and built a hit that never wore out its welcome. So here's your postcard from that summer of '83. A highway radio, a two-lane somewhere between Kerrville and Cleveland, the refrain rolling by like fence posts. They could have had him any day. And you thinking about the choices that make a man and the debts that follow him. That's Pancho and Lefty. That's Townes. That's Willie and Merle. And that, friends, is country music doing what it's meant to do. Take a quiet story and make it belong to everybody.